Welcome to the Service Leaders Network webinar. Today we are joined by Titus Anastasakos, Managing Director at Si2 Partners. Titus is going to explain to us what is the Service Leaders Network and why it was created. So welcome, Titus.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'll walk us through the Service Leaders Network and then we'll take questions. The Service Leaders Network is what we call a facilitated peer-to-peer collaborative network. It's fully focused on service leaders in industrial companies. It provides a platform for collaboration and benchmarking or to share experience and insights. It can also be thought of as a knowledge and know-how resource and a way to get support when needed on an ongoing basis. But I'd like to start with why we felt that something like the Service Leaders Network is needed. And that has to do with the role service plays in industrial business and its positioning in industrial companies. Now, if we think back, in most cases, service starts as a kind of an afterthought, even a necessary evil, in companies whose main job is to make product. The companies are primarily focused on product sales, growth, and market share. Service is not really considered a business, but a function or an activity that they have to perform to keep customers happy. Not much thought really is given to how it's organized or managed. But over time, and as their business and their installed base expands, product sales growth rates start to drop, for example, due to saturation. Service then becomes more important as a means to sustain revenues and profitability. Companies, however, don't suddenly become experts in managing a service business, and it continues to sit quite awkwardly within company organizations. Is it a function like production, engineering, or marketing? Or is it a business unit like a product business unit? After all, it has its own revenue and profit streams and sometimes its own distinct markets. On the other hand, it cuts across all other business units. The real problem is that service in industrial companies is actually more like a business within a business and a different business at that. So let's consider. Service is about legacy. That's the past, the installed base. Products, on the other hand, are about the future. Service is about customer reality, what the customer experiences now. Products are about customer expectations. Service business is driven, at least in part, by product failure or risk of product failure. Product business is driven by promises of success. Service is an anti-cyclical business. Customers buy service even in downturns to keep their equipment going. Product is by definition pro-cyclical. It is product sales that define the cycles. Service demand is driven by the installed base. To an extent, it's known. Product demand is primary. It depends on completely different factors. Service has usually quite high pricing power. After all, after customers have bought the product, they have fairly limited options or choices about service. Let's think of spare parts. Products have usually lower pricing power, particularly in capital equipment markets. Service people work permanently outside of company facilities at far-flung customer sites. They are distributed assets and resources, and that requires different systems and different management and leadership approaches. On the other hand, product people are concentrated in company facilities. And service people, finally, are advocates of the customer in their companies. They understand the customer's problems, understand what the customer experiences, and advocate for the customer in their companies. Product people advocate for their companies and their products at the customer. So this list could go on indefinitely, and we could include differences in marketing, in sales, investment, technology, assets, know-how, and so forth. But it suffices to make the point. Service is different, and it requires different approaches and, sorry, missed one slide, different approaches in sales and marketing, operations, how we manage people, and even how we strategize. And the situation is that many companies don't explicitly recognize that, and if they do, they don't act on it. So the question is, where does this leave service managers? Well, for starters, they have trouble getting their message across because most of their colleagues or bosses don't understand it and can't evaluate it. If they're lucky, service managers are given objectives and then left to their own devices. The luckier ones get more freedom to operate. However, most are fairly restricted in what they can do, for example, in terms of investment, resourcing, or managing risk. And companies have very limited means to evaluate performance of service. As there are few peers within companies to compare and very limited external benchmarks, evaluation of performance is based on past performance, which is not always meaningful. The bottom line is service managers don't have peers. What are peers useful for? To help in problem solving, to help validate thinking and ideas, to provide reality checks, to motivate, and to guide. Not having peers creates a kind of a lonely situation. Sometimes it can lead to frustration, and this can lead to underperformance of both the person and the business. The Service Leaders Network was created to fill this gap. It provides peers for service managers. So let's now take a systematic look at the Service Leaders Network. First of all, who are the primary audience? Well, it's service senior leaders and managers within industrial and technical service businesses, and that includes manufacturing, engineering businesses, also pure play service technical providers. For example, companies that are mainly focused on asset management or maintenance, energy, or other specialized services. What the Service Leaders Network is really about is collaboration. That is collaboration between peers to solve problems and master challenges. The value here is real and quick because when people are working together, they can share the necessary tasks and resources they need to achieve the outcome they want. People working together get better results faster, and of course, cost sharing further reduces costs for each one. So the Service Leaders Network is about engaging with peers, and they are supported by experts and facilitated by Si2. The focus is very sharp, and by concentrating on businesses in a particular space, the industrial technical space, we get a running start because within this space, people share a common set of challenges, speak a common language, and get to understand each other quickly. I want to linger a bit on collaboration and how it improves performance and the quality and cost of outcomes, and the ability to compete. It does this in three ways. First, by motivating people to persist with a task or a project. Second, by concentrating or bundling together skills and experiences. And third, by assigning tasks to those best positioned to get them done well. We see the results of collaboration in other fields that may not be thought of as naturally collaborative. For example, people collaborating in a chess game against an opponent play better than each one would individually and have better chances to win. People collaborating in computer games, in some computer games at least, achieve higher scores than each would individually. We'll have an article, by the way, on our website on this issue soon, so make sure to check for updates. More formally, research from Stanford University, for example, shows that when collaborating to execute a task or achieve an objective, people persisted much longer on that task and were far more motivated to do this. Furthermore, quality of the work improved and people felt more satisfied about the work. Another piece of research by Babson College showed that companies that have a culture and a company structure that promotes and enhances collaboration are 5 times more likely to be high performing. Collaboration, of course, is no panacea. It is important that groups are well balanced and negative dynamics are kept to a minimum, which in turn is where expert facilitation comes in. And it is in this way, really, that the Service Leaders Network provides service managers and leaders with a much needed way to reap the benefits of collaborating with peers that they lack at their companies. The collaborative model at the heart of the Service Leaders Network is member-driven. So the challenges and the projects that are taken on are decided through an ongoing dialogue. And Si2 provides not only expert facilitation, but also a subject matter expert perspective through its network. And in addition, the Service Leaders Network offers access to a growing and continuously updated resource library of service-specific methods and tools, provides opportunities for coaching and training. It provides access to service-specific research to inform and aid in decision-making, again, on issues defined by members. And very importantly, it allows members to participate in ongoing benchmarking, one of the most important tools to gauge performance over time. Let's not forget that how a business performs in service is largely self-assessed, perhaps over time, but very few companies and managers know how they are performing relative to peers and competitors, which is knowledge that is really required for competitiveness. And finally, the Service Leaders Network provides access to on-demand support. That is, members can request the rapid support of peers and experts to solve a particular problem or complete a particular task in their business, becoming an ongoing support resource. Now let's look quickly at how collaborative projects work. The first thing is that members, through a survey or discussion in a meeting, identify a real-life, usually current challenge or a problem in their business that they want to work on. It can be something very specific, for example, how to price service contracts or launch digital services. Or it can be something more general, for example, how to manage a servitization process. Those who are interested can then form a group and initiate a collaborative project. Now, after a period of preparation, when also key experts are sourced from Si2's network, the group comes together for a kickoff workshop, an initiation workshop, as we call it, where the problem is defined and set in context, and the project is scoped. The input from experts is then sought. Project objectives and outcomes are defined, often including metrics and approaches and methods and tools that are needed are explored, discussed, and then agreed. Tasks then may be assigned. The tasks to different members. The tasks are then worked on, and group members regularly meet online or physically to assess interim results and progress, identify and correct mistakes. And this happens over a period of a few months, depending on the project, and people take out of that what they need for their own specific work at their companies. Examples of collaborative projects that members seem to be interested in right now includes, for example, how to develop and bring to market service products, and more generally, productized services, how to turn field personnel into trusted advisors, how to meaningfully introduce analytics and AI into the service business, how to create a solutions culture in an organization, whether this is just about service or whether it extends to the product business, or how to bundle products and services and how to price these bundles, and of course, much more. The important thing is that members can go in any direction, and any proposed project that has enough support by members will be taken on. And here we have a first example of a collaborative project developing a compelling business case and a robust implementation process for a customer portal. Something often necessary because it may require significant upfront investment and because it's not always easy to measure its contribution to business growth and the bottom line. Implementation can be difficult, and because it has to do with customer contact, it's very important to get it right. So here we had 6 service managers working together with input by an expert practitioner, in this case, a portal developer and manager from a major industrial group that had just undertaken a large customer portal implementation. Key issues were scoping and functionality approaches, project management, technical development, rollout phases, success metrics, and risk management, as well as identifying potential pitfalls. The group worked this project over a period of time. It participated in both virtual and physical meetings, exchanged individual experiences, studied cases, focusing on strengths and weaknesses, and decided that the best outcome in this case was a validated best practice guideline for both the business case and for implementation, including topics such as setting specifications, contracting with a provider, with a technical provider, achieving buy-in from stakeholders, technical development, market rollout, and risk management. The guideline or methodology would then be available to all SLN members. The other project example is thematically different, and in this case was about service contract penetration. Service contracts, as we know, are important to stabilize revenue over time, bind customers to the company, reduce sales costs, and improve margins. Now, this particular project included 7 colleagues, again with an expert practitioner, who in this case was a manager running an industrial service business with a significant contract base and providing initial insight. Here, the project scope included contract design and content, contract availability and portfolio, as well as pricing, sales, and go-to-market approaches. And the metrics were set specifically to measure improvements in contract penetration over time. One thing to note here is that collaborative projects can be of shorter or longer duration, depending on context, scope, and when members are satisfied with the outcomes and the progress that is being made. The collaborative intensity will vary as the project progresses. In some cases, projects may over time transform into benchmarking sessions, where members at regular intervals, perhaps once a year, compare results and actions that lead to these results. And again, it's important to emphasize that the Service Leaders Network not only serves as the platform for these collaborative projects, but it also creates the conditions for members to persist with them, to enjoy them, and to see results and better outcomes and performance quickly. And while the collaborative projects are at the heart of the Service Leaders Network, they are by no means the whole story. The Service Leaders Network is also about networking. It's about meeting and discussing with peers, and this happens at least once a year. And it helps getting to know people with similar challenges and helps building trust for collaboration. We call these insight events, and they deal with a particular topic, and they feature internationally renowned experts. And we hope that we'll be broadcasting them over the internet as well soon, so that members who are not physically available can still participate. Another element of the SLN is what we call on-demand support. Now here, a member can call for support to solve a particular problem. Support might be needed because of lack of specific know-how, or lack of resources, or lack of time or capacity. And it can be provided by Si2 experts or other SLN members, normally at low cost. It is designed to be quick, so that the network can be viewed as a kind of a permanent resource. Other features of the SLN include training and coaching by experts with subject matter expertise, bespoke research that can be commissioned by members, and here again, it is possible to see that what we mean with reduced cost of outcomes through the SLN, the costs of research can be shared. And finally, I want to focus on benchmarking. Benchmarking is a very important tool for businesses to gauge relative performance vis-a-vis peers and competitors in all sorts of areas. But for service, where there is little market data or public information about what companies are doing, it is even more important. The service manager who is asked to take a business forward has very little to go by objectively to assess how he or she is progressing. And internal metrics alone, whether financial or operational, can always be skewed by the peculiarities of the business and the existing circumstances. For example, should a business be growing by 10 or by 30%? 10% might seem good until one realizes that peers or competitors are achieving 30. So, or a 3-day mean time to repair, or a 70% first-time fix in field service might also seem good until one realizes that others are achieving much better results. And in service, it is very difficult to know. And the Service Leaders Network provides an opportunity to benchmark these issues. And it's not only about looking at numbers. It is also about understanding the differences and the reasons for these differences. And when that is done, reasoned, targeted action can be taken to close gaps and improve. So together with collaborative projects, benchmarking is a key element at the heart of the Service Leaders Network. So to conclude, the Service Leaders Network is a collaborative network of service leaders. It provides a platform to engage with peers, something many lack within their own organizations. At the heart of the Service Leaders Network are collaborative projects to improve performance and help companies compete, as well as benchmarking, which again is the other side of the coin to collaborative projects and serves the same purpose. And these are flanked with other features such as insight events, methods, access to new ideas and methods, on-demand support, and research or training, which when shared, reduce cost of outcomes. So the Service Leaders Network helps managers improve both their individual and their company's performance. It is driven by members' priorities and choices. So if you are a service leader in an industrial company, we look forward to meeting you at one of our next sessions, wherever you are based in the world. And if you have any questions later on, or you need more information, just email us at the address provided. Thank you.